Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Paul, hope you're all keeping well. Happy New Year to you all. It's amazing how quick this bloody period of time goes, isn't it, between Christmas and New Year. Over in a blink of a bloody eye. So yeah, this is the usual kind of summary video really, where I look back on the last 12 months, show you some of the highlights that I've added to the collection, and we just talk about where I am with each of the sets. I'm not going for sets, I'm just going for different collections, and most of the collections I collect for are actually nostalgic sets rather than what I have done in the past. That's kind of go for different machines I've never really had any experience with. Now, as a nostalgic type of person, I prefer collecting how I collect rather than going for things I don't really have any affiliation for. Because guess what, when you sell it all, you end up buying the same stuff back again. Because this is my second time round of collecting. The first period was literally from the kind of mid-90s really, right up until about 2009. Now I sold it all off in 2012 pretty much. I kept a couple of bits, but what I have now been collecting probably since about 2013, I think. So yeah, 10 years. We've seen sets come and go. Mega CD's gone, Saturn's gone, Dreamcast is gone, PlayStation 3, collector's editions have mainly gone over the last sort of 5 or 6 years really. But they have no nostalgic vibes for me whatsoever, those systems. I remember seeing a Saturn in the shop, thought that looks good, and then didn't buy one because I wanted a PlayStation. Mega CD had nothing to do with that whatsoever. However, there are a couple of games that are really good that I really enjoyed, like Final Fight for example, and the Terminator, probably two highlights on that particular machine. PS3 stuff, I started collecting that. I had loads and loads of box sets, probably had most of the box sets that were released in the UK. Unfortunately, they just contained crap. Really did. I like the steelbooks, but I'm not very confident that over time those steelbooks will fare up very well. I mean, I know the early steelbooks are horrendous. And the Dreamcast, I remember seeing a Dreamcast on launch, but again, never bothered with it. So yeah, the systems that I have no nostalgia for are now gone, and what I'm left with, basically, the systems that I kind of grew up with, mostly. So yeah, I've had a few new hardware additions this year. I'm not going to show you them because they're all tucked away at the moment. I managed to get the Falcon back. There's only one minor problem with the Falcon. It's got a very, very faint sound. So everything else seems to work. But the music, you've got to turn the telly up to like volume 75 out of 100 to get any reading of any music or anything, which is a shame. So yeah, that one may need to go off to be looked at. So the Falcon was a great addition, but very much like the Sam Coupe, not a system I've ever had. There's not a lot I have, I suppose, interest-wise in them. I never had them in the past. I always remember seeing them thinking, bloody, I love one of those. But they were never supported, so game-wise, very, very few games. I do have one game for the Falcon I'm going to show in this particular video, which is a gift. So yeah, I've got 2 games now on the Falcon. But yeah, if I get that sound issue sorted out, that will probably... yeah, it'd be alright then. Every time there's some little niggle that's wrong, it does bother me. I managed to finally pick up a Spectrum 48K rubber key as well, in lovely condition. The box, polys and everything else. Plus all the contents, because usually you find them systems quite frequently, but they're never complete or they're not in the best conditions. Now with 48K Spectrums, they're quite robust machines, except for the membrane for the keyboard. Unfortunately, they probably went years ago to be fair, but I've had quite a few rubber key Spectrums this year, and a lot of them, the membranes don't work. Apart from that, they're pretty good. Got myself a boxed Atari 520 ST FM, not the box I had back in the day, which I think was called the... bloody, I've forgotten. I think it's the Discovery box I got there, which is a black box. Come with a load of games and software. It's pretty cool. It's similar to what I had back in the day. Explorer Pack, I think it was called, from the Silica shops. So it's basically just a plain white box. So that's the one I would like, really, because that's what I had back in the day. Bought myself a Spectrum Plus 3 Boots pack, which is quite an obscure pack to find. But why I kept this particular Plus 3, it didn't have a sound issue. So I'm not sure if it's a later revision board or it's been retrospectively fixed at some point in the last 30 years. So at least I've got a Plus 3 that plays decent AUR chip music, whereas all the other Plus 3s that I've had, I've probably had about a dozen or so this year, they've all got the same problem with the sound. Apparently it's got something to do with the resistor being put in the wrong way round. Apparently. I think that's it in terms of new hardware additions this year. yeah, nothing new really. A lot's been sent off to the Retro Repair Bear, which I'm hopefully get those back in the new year, and we'll do a nice video just dedicated on those systems and see them all up and running, because like 2 of the monitors I sent off both had broken switches, never properly operated them really with an Amiga, so it'd be lovely to set those up. And a couple of other systems I sent off to be recapped, so it'd be nice to get those back. We'll do a video dedicated on that and dedicated to Claire, the Retro Repair Bear, because obviously it's difficult getting monitors repaired. It really is. I took them up myself because no one really insures them, so you're taking a gamble. And a couple of monitors that I've sent up I would not want to have sent up in the post. But yeah, we'll do a separate video in the new year for those. But apart from that, like I said, nothing's gone. Mostly what's come into the collection is specky. Probably made up about at least 50 to 65% or so just Spectrum games. So we'll talk about a system that I've not done a lot with at the moment this year. It's the Commodore 64. I've added some lovely cartridge games this year, which I'll go through those in a second, for the GS branded collection. I think it leaves me with 3 dynamic games now. Commodore 64 proper, I've only added about 3 or 4 games this year. Not really focused on it whatsoever. I kept a couple of System 3 titles, which then contributes to the System 3 collection. In fact, I think 3 of those I've got this year. I'm only going through a handful of subsets on the C64. System 3, I'm about halfway through it now, but I don't have any of the really old stuff. Thalamus we've completed. Hit Squad's completed. There's another budget label I'm 2 away from completion. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in another video again. But I would like to go for other subsets that were nostalgic to me back in the day, like Interceptor. I remember playing Trolley Wally? Trolley Wally. Fantastic platformer. Bloody balls hard, but that label has stuck with me ever since, really. Task Set, another one I'm quite familiar with games like Seaside Special, for example. I think Bozo's Big Night Out was another Task Set label. So there are some little subsets I'd like to collect for on the Commodore 64, which are highly nostalgic. Not many though, to be fair. Not many at all. What else? Atari 2600 or VCS, or just a good old Atari. I've added about 7 or 8 games this year. Now these will all appear in mixed pickup videos that I'll do in the next couple of months, really. Try and steer away a bit from the specky this year and try and focus on some of the other systems, but I will still be picking specky games up. But the Atari I've probably picked up about 6. Nothing on my official list. No more shinies added to the collection, no more Telesys, no more Tiger Vision. The ones I need for Tiger Vision are really hard to find. Games like River Rescue, bloody hell, that's brutally hard to find. Game called Espial, I can't pronounce it, E-S-P-I-A-L. Miner 2049 2 is probably the only likely game I might pick up. The other 2 are bloody hard to find. And a game called Coconuts on a Telesys label. Again, never seen it in the Power Regions. But yeah, so we'll go through the pickups to that in a forthcoming video. PlayStation, very similar. Again, I've picked up maybe half a dozen games. Nothing fancy, just nostalgic. From that nostalgic window of 95 to 97 before picking up a PC. I did pick up some additional bits for my PlayStation though. My PlayStation box is rather nice. It's an early 95 model, so the one that has a really dodgy bloody laser. Not sure if they're fixable, to be honest. So I've got 2 PlayStations. I've got one that I bought off my brother from 1999 and one similar to my original one, my launch one, but it does suffer with full motion video. It is really jumpy. The games are fine, but yeah, it's very jumpy. But I managed to get a load of content to go inside the box, like the demo discs, the instructions and stuff like that. Lovely condition, but unfortunately the machine I took them from wasn't quite as nice as what I had. So yeah, a bit of bastardising there just to get it looking alright. Need to get rid of my Mega Drive. I've got a Japanese one, but it's not Japanese. It's like a PAL thing. I picked up quite a few Japanese games, believe it or not, from Japan this year. So I would like to get myself a Japanese Mega Drive proper from Japan. So next time I buy a load of Japanese Mega Drive games this year, I'll see if I can find myself a proper Japanese Mega Drive. Start cable jobby. But yeah, so Atari, not a lot of change, but I've had a few nice condition games. I've had a few swap outs. Again, Just things like Q-Boat, really. This is kind of partially sealed. Picked up a nice copy of Amadar. I mean, these aren't anything special, but I have got more additions to show you. But some Parker Brothers, some aren't. Some's like, one of them's like a really old gatefold game. Now, I've never seen gatefold games for PAL systems. I'm not sure if this was like grey market. But again, I'll go through that in a future video. FM Towns, I only bought one game. Yeah, one game. Actually, I'll show you that now. Again, I still want to get loads more for the FM Towns, especially Lucasfilm games. It's just they are bloody expensive. So we've got Alone in the Dark. Was this the first survival horror style game? Haven't played it yet, for obvious reasons. I don't have my FM Towns at the moment. But yeah, there's two of these. This was quite cheap actually. I bought this when I bought a load of Mega Drive games. So I thought, why not? This was like about £30. That includes tax. But yeah, never played it. Not played it on anything before. I would like to get the sequel on the FM Towns. I would like to pick up the usual things like Indiana Jones. It's like a bloody broken record because I've said this for the last 2 videos that I've done on New Year's Day. But yeah, there's loads more FM Towns games I would like. At some point I will get around to getting them. Right, so that's that. Mega Drive. Right, I've not added any PAL Mega Drive games this year. And I have a bit of a dilemma. So I'm picking up Japanese games that my good mate Sam had back in the day, and I used to borrow from him. I would like to get some more Japanese exclusive games. I'm a bit worried about piracy, because you can get some nice top-end Japanese games from China and places like that. They look authentic, but yeah, I'd rather go straight to Japan and get them. I'd rather get them from a collector, to be honest, who's had them for decades. But yeah, I'm a bit worried about Japanese games. But I've managed to pick myself up at least a dozen this year, maybe 20. But we'll go for those again in due course. But yeah, 32X is the same. I've still kept that. I do like that system. It's a very peculiar little system, isn't it, on 32X? So nothing's come and nothing's gone. That pretty much is as is. But the Mega Drive, yeah, I've got around about 300 PAL games. I'm trying to think, do I swap out the PAL games for the Japanese ones? The only reason I don't want to do it really is because the PAL ones are in such nice condition. But then, do I want to keep 2 copies of the same poxy game? Probably not. So it's something, my brain's saying sell them and pick up Japanese games. But my heart's saying, do I want to do that? Do I one day want to ever complete the PAL set? Because that's very achievable for myself, the PAL set, because most of what I'm missing is crap. It's shelf filler. It's stuff I don't want. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what to do, and I've never known what to do for the last few years. So what, 269 games to get? It's just the rigmarole of finding all those crappy games, all those bloody FIFAs and NHLs and stuff. So that's why I wouldn't sell them. I think that's a piece of me that don't want to sell them. But it makes bloody sense, doesn't it, to sell the games I've now replaced in Japanese form. Got myself a few handhelds as well. Handhelds I quite fondly remember from when I was a child. Again, I'll do those in a separate video. But yeah, I've come across those and picked them up as and when. It's just the batteries cost a fortune, don't they? Let's get one of those little adapters. I think I've got one, but I just can't bloody find it. PlayStation 3, nothing added at all this year whatsoever. I think I've got about 80 games left. But yeah, not a system I'm overly bothered about. I've got all the games I bought back in the day. My original games are still there. Because I was a PC gamer, console stuff wasn't really a priority unless it wasn't exclusive to the PlayStation. Never been an Xbox fan. I do have an Xbox, and I did pick up a couple of games for it, which I'll show in a pickup video. But it just puts me off buying games on eBay or places like that, because I've been getting games and they're sort of described as excellent as usual. They're not. They come to you scratch as shit and with disc rot. It's like, what the fuck? So it's just a hassle of sending them. So what I might do is a different approach to disc-based games. Just pop into my local CEX in Truro, or go to local second-hand places and just check the quality of the disc before I buy it, really. I think that's a different approach to that particular system. Because with cassettes, at the end of the day, cassette's a cassette. Generally very reliable. Won't get much in the way of surface damage to the tape, for example. Floppy disks, again, they're horrendous, aren't they? They're not reliable, but sometimes they're salvageable. But something like that with disc rot, there's nothing you can do about it. And I haven't really committed like that too much to the Xbox, the original one, because of that, yeah. So I have got a few, and they're quite nice condition, but I'm pretty sure I picked those up from a charity shop. But yeah, we'll go through that again in due course throughout the year. Right, PC, nothing at all added to the PC this year. I think I added one new game, which was Company of Heroes 3, one of my favourite franchises, but I've not got around to play it. What else? Amstrad GX 4000, nothing, unfortunately. No Chase HQs have appeared. Amstrad disc games, I've got a few games to show you in the next Ocean pickup video. Picked up 3 Ocean games this year for the Amstrad collection. I think it leaves me with 6. Picked up another wallet and a couple of dual case games. Yeah. On cassette, I'm 19 games away from finishing off the Cody's collection. I've got another Codemasters video to do. All ready to go. Just got to do the actual recording bit, then it's up. I don't really collect much else for the Amstrad. Ocean, Codemasters, and Hit Squad, which is finished. What else? So Amstrad. Nothing new there. Amiga, I had loads of Amiga pickups. Probably had about 50, I would say. My official list, I've knocked off 2, one to show you in a minute. Yeah, 2 off my official list, but I've still added 50. I think a lot of the games were point and click adventures, Sierra Online titles. I've got some for the ST, some for the Amiga. I would rather have them all on the Amiga, to be honest, but I'm not fussed at the moment. ST, I've added quite a few ST games this year, probably 15-20 games. Again, I'll show you those in pickup videos that I'll do in the future. But my ST collection's around about 170 games now. My Amiga disc collection's just hit 700, I think. CD32, I've added nothing. I've added 1 CD TV game. Came up on eBay for a £5. I picked it up, I've never seen it before. Nothing that would be overly familiar to us, but it's nice to add it anyway. Where are we? Spectrum. Added loads of Spectrum this year. I missed out on a few nice sort of grail titles. Some games this year have been going for in excess of £500 on the Spectrum. It's getting a bit mental out there. But there's many subsets, which I'll talk about those in the Spectrum pickup videos that I do anyway. But that's it really, summary wise. PC, Spectrum, Amiga, ST, C32, PlayStation. I mean, modern games, I've hardly bought any modern games this year. I think I picked up maybe 3 or 4. Picked up Resident Evil 3, which to be fair, I didn't like it. Like Resident Evil 2, loved it, the remake. I liked it that much, I played it again straight after. But I found the third one was like an extension of the second one. It's almost like you've done it before. And having to try and kill that bloody thing 5 or 6 times was a bit boring in the end. Picked up Starfield. It's the only collector's edition I got this year with a little fancy watch. Again, not got into it. Sort of explained that in my previous video, really. That's about it. I picked up other bits and bobs that are modern, but I've forgotten what they are. That inspiring, I've forgotten what they are. That's it. Show you what I got then. So some of the highlights. So let's go with the ST first, because it's the least interesting. I love this game. It's one of my favourite ST games of all time. But what I managed to come across was the additional add-on discs. And the game in question is a legendary Damocles. Now I've got this on the Amiga. The ST's what I had it on, but they're both identical, but the ST version will run marginally quicker because it's in 3D and the ST processor is slightly quicker. But what I managed to get this year is the 2 mission discs. Mission disc 1. I did have mission disc 2 for a while, but it was missing the sticker. And then mission disc 2. Now these are really, really hard to find. I've got these on the Amiga, like I said, but not in as nice condition as those. Virgin, of course, Virgin Games. Now basically all they are some codes on the disc. So you put the disc in the ST, double click, the game will run and just give you a load of coordinates coordinates to start particular side quests. I think that's all it is. There's no game. Yeah. It says it requires the main game disc, which I don't quite get. But yeah, it's just coordinates to where missions begin, side quests begin. So yeah, nice to have that. That is those. They were about 20 quid each. But yeah, I don't believe many people know these exist. I certainly didn't before I started collecting. Then we got, what should we do next? Shall we do Mega Drive then? So these Mega Drive games, one of them in particular I've been after for a long time. I'm pretty sure I got it on PAL. Two of these are specifically for the Japanese market. Not sure about Genesis. I don't know much about Genesis games at all, to be honest. So I don't know if these came out on Genesis or not. But this first one, I've been after this for about 2 or 3 years. Finally got a copy in Japan along with his other two. Roaring Thunder 2. Again, I remember this very fondly. My mate Sam had this. I just had to have it back. But yeah, condition wise, absolutely fantastic. It really is. Prices, I can't remember how much these cost me. I don't think they're expensive, but obviously you've got to pay your shipping and your import tax. But I much prefer getting my games from Japan because, to be fair, the conditions are bloody awesome, aren't they? They really are. But yeah. So yeah, well, like I said earlier, I just want to get myself a proper Japanese console now. But again, it's a sideways shooty, scrolly game. Fantastic game. Great nostalgia with that one. Put that there a second. I used to complete that back in the day. Would like to complete that again this year. Would like to play more Mega Drive games this year because it's one system I've very rarely spent any time playing games on. But yet there's some brilliant games on there. Next up, we got Super HQ. Now, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Chase HQ 2 related, or very similar to SCI in the way it plays. Chase the car as you do in the first part of the game. Second part of the game, you've got to ram them off the road. It's very similar to Chase HQ, really. There's no guns as far as I know. You do pick a different vehicle type though. Not really sure why. Some are slower, some are stronger. So I don't know. I've not really played it a lot. I played it for about, I don't know, half an hour, something like that. It's alright. I can see why it probably didn't get a UK release, to be honest. But internals, again, in fantastic condition. Just make you worried, doesn't it? These games are in such nice condition that they're actually not official games. But even inside there, you've got a little Taito embossed. You can see that anywhere at all. Can't see it on the camera at all. So if you see it, you see it. You don't, you don't. It's by my finger there. Whereas that has Namcot embossed in it as well. So pretty smart, really. And then we got ourselves this one. I've had this before. Outrunners. Another, I think this is the Japanese exclusive. I was very impressed by the presentation of this game. And in fact, it's 2 players as well, which is fantastic. Again, I've not played it for long, half an hour or so, but it'd probably be great with 2 players, split screen. Didn't get very far again, to be honest. But yeah, really pleased to have it. It's the condition of it. It's questionable, isn't it? I don't see why it would be fake. I'll be honest with you, but yeah, sometimes you look at it and think, bloody hell. But yeah, look at it. So I've got a load more Japanese games, which I will show in pickup videos. I think I've probably got like 25 or so now. Either nostalgic or Japanese exclusive. So we'll pick up more as the year goes on. Not many, because they can be quite pricey. So I'll pick up a few here and there. But with those, I tend to just get a load of games like that. Get by you then to hold on to them and then just ship them over. Sort of, you've got a 30-day window, I think, to ship games across. So yeah, just like store them up and then all of a sudden get them shipped across. But yeah, you can get them. They end up being a bit cheaper than they do when it gets sold in the UK. Not much difference, but you will save a bit of money. But it's the condition of those that get me. Right, gift. So I got gifted this. I remember picking up Aisha for the Atari Falcon. And Will picked up this. Will? Atari Amstrad, or Amstrad Atari Amiga. I think that's what his name is nowadays in the comments. But yeah, he does have his own Instagram account. Just posts some absolutely fantastic pictures. So I'll leave a link to that in the description as always. But yeah, if you look at this game, it's called Robinson's Requiem. I've never played it, to be honest. I think I can't pronounce that name. Silmarils. They did support the Falcon. I believe the Falcon was wasn't popular at all, was it? I think you more likely find them in France than you did in the UK. But it has a similar sort of graphics to the Amiga 1200. I remember listening to the iShow music. It was very, very, very good. I think it's got a slightly stronger sound chip, I think, the Atari Falcon. But yeah, like I said though, the sound is quite faint, so you have to turn it really loud just to get a decent listen. Again, it looks like an RPG. But I do need to get some time on the Falcon and check these games out, to be honest. But I still would like to get myself iShar 2. I'm not sure which one I had, iShar 1 or 3. I can't remember which one I have now. I've only got the 2 games on the Falcon, and there's not a large library, but I did miss out on a couple of games. One was a pinball game, and one I think was like a first-person shooter. So yeah, it's not many games on it. There's definitely not many great games on it, so thank you very much, Will. Brilliant to add that in the collection. I will do that Falcon video at some point, I promise. But yeah, my video output's been quite inconsistent, hasn't it? Well, it's been consistent, it's been consistently crap. Right, should we go with the Amiga? Like I said, I picked up loads of Amiga games, a couple of games off my list. One game in particular will probably stand out to those who collect the Amiga. This year I've had 2 copies of this. I've got one, my initial one from retrogames.co.uk, and I picked up one off of eBay. One off of eBay was incomplete, didn't have the map, but had a superior box. So I just amalgamated the 2 and kept the better item. This is Moonstone, Hard Day's Night. Again, never played it, even to this day. So yeah, it comes complete with its discs, poster instructions and all that. I think overall, I paid $200 for one, and I think I paid $250 for the other. And I sold, I think, the loose discs and the box for about $300. So not too bad really. Don't owe me too much, which is good. But it's in lovely condition. I ain't got a clue what that game's about. It reminded me a little bit of Barbarian by Palace Software. You sort of slice and dice the enemy a bit, but I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do. Got quite a cool little intro though. It's about the only bit I've seen, to be fair. But people rave about it, but I never even heard of it back in the day, to be honest. So not sure what the attraction is. I will play it and give it a go. Yeah, there you go. So Moonstone. It came out, I think, in 1991, which is a period I didn't have any computers or consoles, or had any interest in those at the time. Right. Next up, Commodore 64 game system. 3 games, 3 bloody hard to find titles. One I got in a bundle, one was from a collector who was selling his, or still is selling his collection. One I got from the United States. So first up, I'll show you a game I picked up. I'm pretty sure I picked this up last year. I showed you last year, and that's Narco Police. That is a Spanish release of it. Small box. I think in Spain it came out in very different size boxes. It's got a Spanish barcode on the top of it. I come across this in a bundle, which is the UK version of it, which apparently, from what I've read, you could only buy via mail order. But it's in the boxes that are more familiar to us over here in the UK, like games by Dynamic. A lot of their games came out a bit like this, in decent cases. But yeah, I bought the bundle, I sold what I didn't want off, and this probably owes me about 90 quid, which is not a bad price for a game you very rarely see. It's a shame the box has got a split in it. Instructions aren't the best, so I'm going to have to try and find myself a floppy disk version or something, just to swap some parts out really. I can't do much with the actual top lid unfortunately, but the instructions I can probably upgrade. But yeah. It's alright game. It plays better on the Amiga, to be fair. Sort of tunnel, not really a tunnel crawler, it's kind of a arcadey game, but you're going through tunnels, shooting the bad guys. That's about all I've got out of the game so far. Yeah, not really sure what else to do. On the Amiga and ST it seems to run okay, but on the Commodore 64 it doesn't. It's not a great game. Unless you think differently. But yeah, nice to have Narco Police. That's a tough. It won't stand up, unfortunately. But yeah. Next up we got... Finally, I missed out on a copy of this a few years back for a tenner. This one was slightly more than a tenner. I'll tell you no lies. And that is After the War. Really pleased to have that for the Commodore 64 GS. Well, Commodore 64. You can play these carts on any Commodore 64. But again, so by the time I paid my taxes and stuff for this one from America, this was about £380, I think. So very expensive, but again, it's got the same problem with the other one. I could do with a better poster instructions. It's got a bit of foxing on that one. Got some kind of addendum that came out with the cartridge version, and obviously the cartridge. But yeah, this game I played a lot on the ST. I did complete the first half on the ST, but the Commodore 64 version doesn't play nowhere near as well. It's quite sluggish. But yeah, it's got two games from what I remember. It's got the game where you're in kind of an apocalyptic world, and then you got the game then it seems a bit more futuristic, and you've got some kind of futuristic gun. Reminding me a little bit of Astro Marine Corps. But yeah, this was not cheap. That was £25 from a place called Jerry Sutherland. So yeah, must have imported that to America in the first place. Yeah, really pleased to have that though. But yeah, I missed out on that for a tenner. Anything like that that comes up dirt cheap will not stay around for long. Next one. This one is from a collector who's selling his collection on. I've seen this. Bit of a mythical game. No one really knows where it was released. I think there are some hints that it was released in Denmark. A bit of a strange place to release the game, I suppose. But on the sticker it's got UK. So I haven't got a clue. And the actual cartridge itself doesn't have a label. Even the ones I've seen in pictures whilst looking through Google. And that game is Doct Tales, The Quest for Gold. Very hard to find that. I think I've only ever seen this once before. It's maybe the same copy, you know what it's like. People buy items and sell items and it usually ends up being the same thing. Yeah, this is super hard to find. Now, I'm not sure if the contents are the right contents. Again, don't know. The cartridge is plain. At first sight, you think, bloody hell, what am I buying? But if you go on a website that talks about cartridge games on the Commodore 64, especially this branded stuff, there's a picture of another copy that looks just like this. Similar cartridges to the Ocean cartridges, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I look at it and think, a bit odd, a bit of a dodgy thing, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Not debating that that's not authentic. What I'm saying is it's just a very strange history behind the game itself. Do you know what I mean? How did it come out? How was it released? How could you buy it? It's got a barcode on the back of it. So yeah, I don't know much about it, to be honest with you, but I have seen this once before, very similar to this. It seems authentic. It's just, you do question it only because it looks a bit odd. I'll leave a link to the article for it if you're interested in this sort of stuff. But it's an interesting article. It does talk about all the obscure Commodore 64 GS branded cartridges. So that leaves me with just three more dynamic games. I've got 2 of the 5. I think one's called Satan, which the cartridge sold for about 200 quid from the same seller as After the War. Astro Marine Corps I've never seen before. And a Grand Prix game like a top-down bike game. It's a Spanish motorcyclist. I don't know who he is, but yeah, the game is based on him. Right, we're down to a couple of Spectrum pickups. Now, like I said, I missed out on quite a few big Spectrum games last year. One for the US Gold collection. I went for like about 500, about 650 actually. I think I bid 600, got outbid. Which was the Fate of Atlantis game. Missed out on something similar. Can't remember what the hell it was. But Anyway, my two highlights for the Spectrum. There's quite a lot of highlights for the Spectrum, but these two in particular, because both of these, one definitely wasn't released in the shop, and the other one was supposed to have not been released in the shop, because they pulled the plug on it. But I did get a C64 release. So first up is Inspector Gadget, Sinclair Spectrum. Now there's an article in a magazine back in the day saying that this was not released. I believe, was it Mastertronic who bought Melbourne House and then decided not to release this game. So I'll show you the inlay anyway. But it is specifically for the Spectrum, which is pretty cool. And my finger is there. It does give you a loading instruction. So I was a bit dubious about it, but obviously this come up in a bundle. The game was like tucked away in a corner. I was like, oh, what's that? Inspector Gadget. It didn't get released in the UK. But yeah, so really pleased to have it. I don't know much of the history of it. They must have obviously produced a few. But I noticed the barcode number is a barcode that's reserved for books, beginning with 9. So I'm not sure if that's just like a placeholder barcode. I don't know. But usually UK release games start with a 5. If anyone's got any information about that, please let me know. But again, the ROM or the downloads are available. The Melbourne House one, so I don't know if it got the Australian release or what. But yeah, it's nice to have that. It's very nice to pick up games that weren't supposed to get a release. I do like to add those kinds of games to the collection. It kind of makes the collection a little bit more special, doesn't it, when you've got games like that. Now this next one, it's a shame it's not for the Amstrad, because it would have been great. But it's for Spectrum, yeah. That is The Sun, Rockstar Goes Bizarre. Very chuffed to have this, I'll tell you that. This is one of those games that is mythical. Why the fuck they put it in these stupid prating cases, I don't know. Now, only 10 copies of this ever got made or given to The Sun to give away as a competition prize. Based on the game, obviously, Rockstar Ate My Hamster. I hate these bloody cases. Domark cases. Now, from what I've seen, there are a couple of copies of these in existence already for the Spectrum. Not sure if one of these copies is this copy, I don't know. But there was a little site I've seen with games that weren't released on the Spectrum, very similar to games that weren't just an inferior version of it, but just for the Spectrum. Very interesting. Comes with a second edition instruction book, which I've also seen that with floppy disk based versions of this game. Not this game exactly, but Rockstar Ate My Hamster. Tape just says Rockstar on it. Obviously when you load it, it is Rockstar Goes Bizarre. But the only gumph that's in it is this very strange looking, because when you look at it, you think this would have been cobbled together really quickly, because if they only gave 30 copies, 10 Amstrad, 10 Commodore, 10 Spectrum to The Sun, they would have just had to cobble it up, cobble something together quite quickly. This is exactly the same looking as the one I've seen already that's been found. There's quite a few additional characters in this particular game. So I'm not sure if it's a slightly bigger game or what, but I know some of the character names can be quite offensive nowadays. But the sleeve is different. If I show you a box version of it, yeah, so it's very similar, but they had to cobble together 10 copies of that. They probably wouldn't have bothered getting boxes like that. So yeah, extremely pleased to have that. It really am. It's one of those things that when it came up I thought, bloody hell. So I had seen it before, seen an image of it before, so I was quite happy that it was authentic. And the guy who I won it from, he won it from the competition. I think he liked Codemasters games, and he said his dad read the Sun newspaper. So voila, he entered it, and yeah, he won. I just wish it weren't in this type of case. I really don't. But yeah, chuffed a bit. It's probably the highlight for me this year, actually, pickup wise. Now this was just over 500 quid. Not cheap. But I think a lot of people that were bidding on it were probably sceptical of how it looked. But yeah, chuffed to bits. I'm not sure what the contents are supposed to be like. I can only imagine it was supposed to just be that. Maybe it had the cards in it. I think the specky version of Rockstar Ate My Hamster came with other bits like that. So I'm not sure if that one did or not. It doesn't matter because you can always put the bits from there into there. But I'd like to know what was in the box in the first place. Try and keep it as authentic as possible, really. But yeah, that's it. That's the highlights. Like I said, I've had loads of games this year. I've had hundreds of games, but they're probably the highlights. The rest of them are more kind of run-of-the-mill, especially on the Atari, PlayStation and all that. They're pretty much run-of-the-mill, really. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you have a fantastic new year. I think that's it. Anything else I've forgotten that's quite important, I'll bring up in a pickup video in due course. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. See you all again soon. Take care. Bye for now.